After we think all is lost, new growth and new opportunities arrive. You can just see in the colours here. Everything's dark. We feel in these dark nights of the soul, and slowly but surely life returns. That's what the regeneration card does. It's probably my favourite card in this deck. It's like the death card, but back to front, which is exactly the same as this card, because these are three people coming from the coffins, because they're being reborn. I think some Geminis are hearing a call, okay? So when I say hear a call, we're always drawn to people, places, things. It's like our soul is always taking us home. But we need to listen to it, of course, which is a whole different matter, because listening to it means we're no longer dominated by our small mind, which is basically a thief, which robs us of where our true joy lies, okay? And I just realised what you most want is a Ten of Swords, which is no longer being controlled by that part of you, okay? So the cards around you, when you go into June, is a Judgment card again. 3 times you've got the same message. This is about second chances, okay? Sometimes it's so profound. It's like wiping the slate clean and starting your whole life again. We do that quite a lot in our life. Sometimes it's really big decisions, and sometimes it's just a smaller decision of, I didn't handle that very well, but today's a new day. That's the energy of the Judgment card. Or big decisions like starting a new relationship would be the Judgment card, especially if we've been wounded and hurt and damaged and we hear a call. The trick is always to follow that call. So some of you are hearing something, and do I think you're responding? You end with 2 aces. So yes, I do actually. And it's right next to the Emperor card. I am and I will. Okay, it's holding that staff, holding that power. Aries is also a very self-directed energy. So you might be asked to focus your own energy, go alone, do this Judgment energy on your own back. Okay? Your own resources, because that's what Aries represents. It's independence, self-sufficiency, generating new life paths of your own esteem, okay? That's sometimes the Emperor might appear as being quite relationally closed, okay? I have to put that in. He's number 4. He's got different qualities. His qualities are to manifest life directions and new directions. He's my least favourite relational person because he's a withholder. He withholds his emotional flow, okay? It's not because there's anything wrong with him. It's just because his energy wants to go into different directions. And what you most want is the Ten of Swords, okay? So when we get a Ten of Swords and the Judgment, and I've just turned around and the World card is here, when we get so many of the same messages, it's about learning not to be controlled by that small part of yourself. And that small part of yourself would be, oh, play safe, don't take risks, stay where safe. The Ten of Swords is about decisive action. Sometimes it represents death of that ego, so the spirit can launch itself, so we can move towards our greatest potential. I will pull you another card for this though. Now, what's helping you is the Queen of Swords. So this is really interesting because the Queen of Swords knows how to see in the dark. She has got her spiritual eye wide open, by the way, and she's got a sword of truth which lights her way. Really, Gemini, you don't need to be, you don't need the story of your mind that keeps going round and round and round in the same patterns, because the mind will never set us free. Yeah. The Queen of Swords, on the other hand, can see in the dark because that's her gift. Most misunderstood queen of the whole deck. I'm going to pull a card that combines these two. The Hanging Man, okay. It's about letting go of control. Letting go of control so the Judgment card and regeneration can take over. So what they say is death to the ego is a victory to the spirit. And that's exactly what I'm seeing here. This is potentially extremely exciting here, Gemini, to tell you the truth. Your challenge is the Wheel of Fortune. So there might be issues around timing. It's getting the clock to fit perfectly. It's also, the Wheel of Fortune represents sometimes a doorway. And if we choose to take this doorway, we turn the events of our life around. But there might be a bit of a challenge in going through this doorway because you've got the Nine of Swords with it. Okay? So this would be the small part of yourself that wants to keep you safe, that wants to protect your heart, and just wants to keep you in this very small place. Gemini, forget about it, because you've got the Judgment card, you've got regeneration, you've got it 3 times, same message. There is a rebirth going on here. This is more powerful than your mind. You can avoid it if you want, but you'd have to go and live in a cupboard somewhere, which is what the Nine of Swords would have you do. Or you can take this leap of faith, learn to see in the dark, the way the Queen of Swords does. How fascinating. What on earth have you got going on here? It's like there's a whole new destiny trying to unfold for you. And when destiny unfolds for us, it's always really fearful because we're being asked to let go of everything that we're used to, everything that we know, and move to this unknown destiny. It's okay to feel fear. I think some of you are relocating, 8 of Wands, traveling, launching new businesses, launching new energy out into the world. It's natural to feel fear when you let go of what once was your security in order to move yourself to a new life path. You can't prevent this life path. It's almost like we can prolong our suffering by going into fear. I don't think you can prevent it. In your relationships, you've got the 4 of Cups, okay? So you're working stuff through, basically, Gemini. It's not one of these cards that a lot of people don't like. It's a very hard card for me to read, okay? No cups of spilt here, but you're in quite a quiet, reflective place. And when it turns up, I tell people not to worry because everything grows from a seed. And sometimes the 4 of Cups means that there's stuff that you're working through. Okay? So again, you can get yourself in a little bit, with the 7 of Discs, very similar energy. Something is in the process of being created, but you're in that in-between phase. You might feel a little bit emotionally cut off, emotionally, but what you're doing is you're processing stuff on the inside because that's what we're designed to do. We don't leap forward until we've worked whatever needs to work, until we've worked out what needs to be worked out. If you even try and do it the opposite way, it ends up in very, very psychologically unhealthy places. We need to complete cycles before we begin the next one. That's what a healthy person does, Gemini. So don't judge yourself. Just go through what you need to go through. Money and work, you've got the Magician card. Magician card, great card to have around money. This is about manifesting. It's a very powerful card, powerful and focused card. As always, you need to be not dominated by your I want, I need, what if this happens, what if this happens? And you need to be connected with source energy. And the only way to do that is to not be consumed by fear, to be more in the 10 of Swords than the 9 of Swords. So you're able to use this energy wisely. I'm going to pull you another card. Ooh, Page of Cups. This is showing up for a lot of people, potential new love interests in the workplace. You're my last reading. I'll do your love reading first, Gemini, okay? It's showing up for a lot of people. You're about half the signs of either the Ace of Cups or the Page of Cups in the love sector, and the sector to do with their money and finances. So there might be a new love interest being met at work, or you've got a crush, or someone's got a crush on you. Love this guy, by the way. He's so innocent and pure. Very much like the Judgment card. Very much this blank slate. There's something being born out of what once seemed dark. Something new coming back, okay? Spiritually, you feel a little bit stuck here with the 8 of Swords, okay? 8, 9 and 10 of Swords. To overthinking, basically, Gemini. It's exactly what you're doing here. I'm an air sign as well. But overthinking is keeping you in a state of paralysis. And it's creating suffering. When what you really need to do is hear the call. Learn to navigate in the dark and keep walking. It's okay to feel fear, but it's not okay to say, I feel fear and I'm going to build my world around this fear, which means you're going to stay stuck, Gemini. I'm going to pull you another card here. I want you to keep moving, regardless of what you're feeling. You're going to have to keep moving here. Anything else that wants to be said? Yeah, you've got the 2 of Pentacles, which means you're having to give something up here. It's a little bit of a tense spot you're in here. And I think it's because some of you are having a really big life change. And I think there's overthinking. 8, 9 and 10 of Swords, because she can just escape this prison, but she's choosing not to, which means you're keeping yourself stuck. Some of you might have 2 relationships, and to start this page, you're having to let go of one of the ones you're holding on to. It could be juggling finances. It's a juggling card, but it tends to mean you can't have it all, Gemini. You can't have your new beginning